Hello, welcome back to another video. Now my first race of the season is approaching. I'm going to be racing the DALES in a couple of days time, and in actual fact by the time you see this video hopefully I've finished. If not, something's gone a little bit wrong, but I thought I'd run you through the bike setup that I'm going to use for that event. Now the DALES is essentially a coast to coast and back again across the Yorkshire Dales and Yorkshire Moors in the north of England. And it's run on the bank holiday Friday. It starts at 8 AM, and as you'd expect in the UK on a bank holiday, the weather's looking pretty bad. So it's looking like it's going to be raining. It's looking like pretty big tailwind on the leg out, so it goes west to east, and then it's looking like a storm's coming in the second half. So yeah, it's going to be pretty grim, I think. So managing layers and warmth and keeping dry is going to be key. So I'll run you through all the kit in my bag, but I'll start with the bike itself. Now this is my Mason in search of. The event is it's billed as a kind of an event for newcomers, beginners, and experienced riders alike. So there's not too much in the way of technical trails. I would primarily say it's kind of a gravel event, but it's kind of chunky gravel. But there is quite a lot of road as well, so it's interesting to kind of see the mix of bikes on the start line. There'll be a lot of people on gravel bikes, there'll be people on mountain bikes, and everything in between, and I've pretty much gone for the in-between option here. So yeah, this is my Mason in search of. This is one of the first ones that was ever made, so I got it in 2019, and it's just a bit of a favourite of mine, to be honest. And yeah, the reason I'm running this bike is because I really like it. Probably the sensible choice would be, or the probably slightly faster choice would be maybe to run my Mason Macro, which is the aluminium hardtail with a 100mm or 110mm suspension fork on it. But I've just gone for this because I like it, and yeah, I think it's a really cool bike. I don't get to ride it as often as I'd like, so I thought I'd take it for a little trundle across Yorkshire at the weekend. So yeah, the Mason in search of is, I guess it's Mason's adventure bike, drop bar adventure bike, steel frame. It's got the fork, and you can see it's got this this proprietary mud guard. So this can actually load 2 kilograms of weight. I'm not going to load anything on it for this event, but it bolts directly onto the fork crown, so it's pretty good, and it's looking like the forecast, well, there's a lot of groundwater at the moment up there. It's going to be probably on and off rain pretty much the duration of the event, so having a massive mudguard on the front is going to be invaluable, and also having the tail fin rack at the rear kind of acts as a bit of a mudguard too. So I'm going for kind of comfort, you know, and just sort of keep on rolling through the terrain. The bike, I mean, I've done some pretty good adventures on this bike. So this bike, I got it in 2019 before the Tour Divide. Finished 6th on the Tour Divide on this bike. Actually won GB Duro on this bike as well. That crossed through the Yorkshire Dales actually, so I've ridden it through the area before. I've done things like the Turin Rally last summer. And yeah, basically when I'm on this bike, it's going to be a pretty cool adventure, and it suits the kind of multi-terrain, long-distance stuff really well. So Dales there's going to be a lot of road. There's going to be some rough double tracks. There's a little bit of single track, but not too much. It's probably going to be some boggy areas. Yeah, looking forward to riding this bike. So the group set, it's an 11-speed GRX group set. Well, it's a mashup of things actually. It's 11-speed GRX shifters. Originally it had a GRX rear mech on it. But I got hold of 11-speed Di2 XT rear mech. So that's given me a slightly wider gear range. Now it's not as big as like some of the mountain bike gearing. The biggest cog is 48 tooth on the back. Probably would be better to have a 50 or 51, and I did look at getting one of the sort of adapter kits and wider range cassettes you can get, but I just didn't manage to get it sorted in time. But yeah, it's fine. I'll just have to pedal harder on the steep stuff in the 48. I've got a 34 tooth chainring on the front, so hopefully that should give me you know, a decent enough range of gears. I've got an XT chain set on there. Again, like I said, it's a bit of a mash of components. I'm running an Enduro bearings bottom bracket on there, so that's done loads of trips. Again, excellent components. They kind of fit and forget really, in my opinion, and I've done loads of really long trips on it, and it's running pretty sweet. Wheels, I've gone for, well, these are my Hunt proven XCUD wheels, so they're the ones with the carbon spokes. They're pretty lightweight. I used them for Hellenic Mountain Race and the Alps Divide last year, and I re-rate them, so I just fit them onto this bike, save a little bit of weight. And tyre-wise, I've actually been sent some Schwalbe tyres to use. So these are the Thunderbolts, which are their super fast XC tyre. Now it's a bit of a compromise, but basically I've set this bike up to go fast on the smoother gravel sections and the road sections, which there is quite a substantial amount. The downside of the Thunderbolts is they've got quite a light sidewall, so I do need to be a little bit careful. So I'll probably have to take some of the rougher descents and tracks a little bit slower, so I'll lose time to those on mountain bikes there for sure, but I'm hoping well, I've been running around here, they're rolling really, really fast, so I'm hoping on the road sections I can be really efficient and smooth. So that's my strategy. I'm just looking to get round nice and smoothly non-stop, so that will reflect in some of the kit I'm taking. Other things, contact points, well, you probably know by now, I run ergon saddles, SR All-Road Core saddle. This is the one I've done loads on this saddle already. It's pretty much on all my bikes. So yeah, get on really well with that. Seat post, I'm actually running a 27.2 seat post rather than the 31.6 that the bike comes with as stock. It's got a slightly bit more flex in it. I decided not to run the Redshift seat post, well, mainly because this was on the bike already and I didn't want to mess around with it too much. So yeah, 27.2 seat post, it's just got a shim in there, so that takes a little bit of buzz out the back. Up front, it's a Redshift cockpit, so I've got a shock stopped stem, so it's 20mm travel, so it just takes the edge off. I find it works really well on this bike. Combined with the combination of 2.35 mountain bike tyres and the shock stop stem takes the worst of it off. I mean, it's not going to be as good as a fork when you're rattling down really rocky descents, but there's not going to be too much of that on this event, so it should be more than adequate. I've got kitchen sink bar from Redshift. This is the one with the loop in as well. So again, I find this suits this bike and, you know, the way I use it. So I've done things like, you know, I rode home from Norway once. I've done touring around the Atlas Mountains, as well as the other events I mentioned. And it just gives you loads of hand positions. I can tuck down in a kind of decent aero position. So again, there's going to be some fast road sections on this event, so I want to be able to do that. And I just think it's a bit cleaner than having an aero bar set up on top, and probably a little bit lighter as well. I've got the top grips, so for a bit of comfort, and the drop grips as well, which I really rate. Again, just helps, as I'm running rigid and not like got like a suspension fork, it just helps a bit of comfort, it takes a bit of vibration out and stops you getting the hot spots on your hands. So yeah, really rate those bars. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the bike. Pedals, well, I've actually got these, I forgot to take them off for the video. These are the Redshift mousetrap pedal adapters, so I've just ridden up here to shoot this video in my flat shoes. Obviously I won't use them for the race, but I'm running XGR pedals. But yeah, incidentally, these adapters are more useful than I'd ever imagined, so yeah, do rate those. So yeah, so that is the basic bike setup, and now I'll just run onto the bags and a few of the accessories. So onto the bags that I'm using, and you may notice that I'm running this white Tailfin frame bag. This was actually one of the original frame bags that Tailfin made before they were in production. So yeah, seen some action in this bag, and it's a custom fit for this frame, and it's really wide at the front as well. So actually there's quite a lot of volume in there. So that's going to carry some layers and food. Then I've got this long top tube bag. I'll dig everything out in a second, but that's going to be like tools, spares. I've actually got my camera in there, things like that. Then at the back here, I've got the Tailfin speed pack, and this is primarily layers. I think I'll probably end up wearing most of them, so this is as full as it will get, and I've got a bivvy in there. Again, I'll drag all that stuff out in a minute. Navigation, I'm still going around in circles with GPS units. I've got the Coros Dura fitted on here. I've stopped using it day to day for training. I just don't think it's as good as my Wahoo. And I don't think I'd use it for a road ultra or a higher speed ultra because I just don't think it's as fast. But I think for this, it should be good. It's got like 90-hour battery life. I'm really not expecting to get any solar gain. I mean, it's the Yorkshire Dales and it's meant to tip it down all weekend. So yeah, I'm not doing it for any solar gain, but it's got a 90-hour battery. So I'll get through the whole event without having to recharge. I can run the backlight all night because I'm going to try and run non-stop. So yeah, that's a really useful feature. So yeah, I've gone back for that and I've just mounted it inside the loop here, so it's out of the way. Yeah, pretty good. Lighting, I've got my good old Exposure Max D. It's a number of years old, done a number of events for me, but that should be enough. Again, that'll see me through the night. Probably end up riding through the first night and hopefully not too much of the second night, but you do never know. But yeah, that'll have more than enough lighting. And then I've got a little light under the saddle here. This is the Trace R, just on the saddle mount, so it flashes over the top of the bag. So yeah, that's pretty good. Now I'll dig into my bags and show you some of the things I'm taking. So in the top tube bag, as I said, this is things I want close to hand. So the first thing is my trusty film camera. You may have seen some of my photos out there. I make a little magazine and things, and yeah, I just quite like taking film photos. So that's in there. So I'll take a few of those if it's not too grey and miserable on the event. What else have we got in here? Not too much. It's I'm travelling fairly light. So I've got dyno plug, tyre lever, spare plugs, got some tyre or some patch glue. Always need that because it's quite good to glue in your dyno plugs. If you need to use them, it just makes them a little bit more secure. I've got a needle and thread and some patches, which is on the floor now, just in case I cut a sidewall. Actually got some chlorine tablets just in case. I mean, water's fairly good to get hold of on this route. There's plenty of taps and things, but you know, you never know. So there's some chlorine in there just in case, and that normally stays in there. I've got a spare mech hanger here, just in case. Spare coin battery, so that stuff's just in there so I can grab it nice and easily if I need it. I've also got 2 spare sets of brake pads. It's sounding like it's going to be pretty gritty and muddy, and so yeah, 2 spare sets of brake pads just in case. And then I've got little toiletries, so things like pseudo creme. Again, don't really want to need to use that, but you never know. I've got one of these restrap tyre boot kits. Again, don't really want to have to use that, but you never know. Lip balm. It's not going to be sunny, but the wind looks like it's going to be strong. It just dry my lips out, so good to look after them. A bit of lube, squirt lube. It's wax based, probably not the best for the conditions, but I'm running a wax chain, so I'll just keep it topped up. It'll be all right for, you know, for a couple of days. Incidentally, I'm running the squirt wax. So I've been running squirt lube, but they just brought out the chain wax. So I've waxed the chain. I always wax the chains for ultra races, and actually on all my bikes. I've done so for years and years before it kind of became the sort of the rage. I just think that it's a really good idea, even if it's going to be wet conditions like this week, because at least the wax is getting inside the rollers. When you've got a lube, I just think it draws in grit and stuff, which can just, you know, have a negative effect. So yeah, I run a wax chain. Probably won't last much more than the first day, and then I'll just keep it topped up with this as and when. But it doesn't sound like the chain's actually going to dry out much, so I think that'll be fine. And then I've got some hand sanitizer. Just never know when you might need it. So yeah, that's everything in the top tube bag. Right, onto the frame bag, and this is where I'll keep kind of layers that I might want to put on and off while I'm riding, and also quite a bit of food. I'll start on the non-drive side. There's a little pouch here. Just because I've got a few little things in here. So I've got my exposure joystick, that's the helmet light. I keep that in the side pocket. Got some headphones and just sort of money and cash, and also a little multi-tool as well. So yeah, that all stays in the non-drive side pocket. It's all kind of quite flat stuff, so that keeps quite nice and neat in there. And then in the main pocket, as I said, this is primarily going to be food, so I'll start with a lot more when the event starts. But at the moment, I've got some rain gloves. These are my Sportful rain gloves. I've just retreated all my rain gear, given it with like wash and rain repellent stuff. So hopefully these should be nice and waterproof. So they're in there. Again, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to use those at some point. I'll bring you through my glove layering system shortly. I've got this ultralight down jacket from Albion. Now this is only 100 grams, it scrunches up. I could probably put it in my back pocket. I'll probably use this more of as a windshield, so I'm not sure how much it will actually get used, but it's in there anyway, and it's good to have a few layers and a few options. And then I've got just a Pertex gilet. Again, I'm pretty sure I'll end up using this most of the time, so it probably won't spend much time in my frame bag. And then I've got just a little Albion cap. Again, probably wear this most of the time, but I'll store it in here if I take it off. I've got my little Albion folding backpack. I mean, it scrunches up into a tiny little ball, so it barely takes up any room. Always just useful to have. It might be useful in resupplies. You never know what might happen, so it's good to have a little bag with you. And then I've got a spare inner tube. I've wrapped it in a plastic bag, mainly so it doesn't get any holes in it in the bag, because things rattle around in there, and that just protects it a little bit. And I've got my pump, just a little Crank Brothers pump. Got a cable tie as well, which is kind of tied itself around everything. And then I've just got a little spare thing of sealant. So yeah, I'm just conscious that I've gone for a light tyre option, so I want to have stuff to be able to repair it if the worst comes to the worst. So obviously under the frame bag I've got 2 bottles, these are just 750ml torque bottles. So I'll probably start with about 100 grams, maybe 120 grams of carbohydrates, just the torque energy drink powder. I'll start with that and then I'll just top up with water as I go on. I will have some more energy stuff, which I'll come on to in a second in the rear pack. But yeah, I'll have a good mix of energy stuff and food. So I'll probably have some normal food in my frame pack, probably things like some cheese sandwiches. Maybe it's Easter, maybe get some hot cross buns with butter in and wrap them in tin foil, just so I don't get bored of energy stuff. You know, it's an eating contest. If you're going to be riding, it's going to be pretty much 40 hours non-stop. You just need to keep pouring food in. And yeah, I just get like bored of gels and bars and stuff. I can't eat it for that amount of time. So I like to have a good mix of stuff. But obviously gels and bars do have their place. And yeah, so I have a little stash of energy stuff for probably the second half. So in the back here, I've got my little stash. So this is the pick-me-up for when I get into the latter half of the race. So I have some gels, these are the torque gels. I'll have some caffeine ones as well. I find the torque ones are quite good because they use guarana as the kind of the caffeine ingredient, and I find it a bit less jittery than some gels. And then I really rate these Torque Explore flapjacks. I probably take 10 of those. I can just eat those for every meal. I eat far too many at the moment. And then some torque bars. So yeah, they're my kind of high energy that's my high energy stash for the second part of the race. So I'll just keep that in the top here. So that'll be when I'm probably getting low on energy, probably the dawn after the first night. And yeah, just use that to pick me up when I'm a bit low. And then in the back here, this is going to be the rest of my layers. So I think it's the key for this event, given the conditions, is going to be lots of kind of lighter layers. I think it's going to be wet the vast majority of the time. I think you're going to be wet feet most of the time as well. So it could be quite grim if you're not packing the kit well. So what we have in here, these are my Albion rain pants. So yeah, I'll keep those in the back there. Most likely I'll put them on overnight, or if it's really, really bad weather. Incidentally, I'll start the race in just some of the Albion pocket bibs and some leg warmers, and either a long sleeve jersey, the Traverse jersey from Albion, or the Traverse jersey with arm warmers. It just depends on the temperature. I'll probably make that decision on the morning of the race. But then everything else will layer over the top of that, and I'll be wearing a merino base layer as well, a merino mesh base layer. In here's my rain jacket. This is my Albion Zoa rain shell. Now I'm not sure whether that will stay in here or whether I'll put it in the frame bag. I'll probably end up having the lightweight insulated jacket in the back, because just it looks like the rain's going to be, I think it's going to be a jacket on and off the whole time kind of event. So I might just put that in the frame bag so it's easier to reach and easier to make those changes. And then I've got some stuff I'm going to keep in here for probably the night so I can have a bit of a change. So this is a key piece of kit. It's looking like it'll probably be up on the moors at night. It could be pretty cold and grim. So this is my active insulation layer from Albion. It's got a hood on as well, so I can really wrap up. It works really well under a rain jacket. In actual fact, this active layer, my rain jacket, is what I used in Kyrgyzstan on the Silk Road last year and on Alps Divide. And I was going down to sort of 0 degrees. As long as you're riding in these, it's no problem at all. So yeah, so I'm sure that'll get a lot of use in the second part of the event. And then I've got a bivvy. As I said, I don't plan to stop, but you never know what's going to happen. So I've just got this is the lightest bivvy I have. It's my Rab. I think it's like a survival zone light. It's really old, but yes, it's really quite compact. So I'll just leave that in there. You never know what's going to happen. As I said, I don't intend to stop. I intend to ride through the night, but I might need a little nap. You know, you never know, the weather might really close in. It just needs some shelter, so I'll take that with me. It's not really proper sleeping gear, but it's more me just trying to be a little bit sensible. I'm sure there's a lot of people that won't take any sleeping gear at all, but yeah, I've just been caught out in the Dales before, so I know what it's like when it goes wrong up there. And then I've got a dry bag, so I've got a few extra little bits and pieces just to help with comfort. So in here, I've got some dry gloves. So I've got these are Peled ones with the alpha insulation. You've probably seen these in a lot of my bike checks. So these are nice and warm. So I'll keep them in there. I'll probably start the event with just some long finger gloves. But yeah, I want a warmer layer as well. So I have some spare mitts as well. I'll wear these under the gloves. So yeah, if you get wet, cold hands and you've got to ride another 20 hours, it's going to be grim. So I want lots of layers, and the rain gloves will go over either my long finger gloves I start in or over this combination overnight. So yeah, that should work pretty well. And then I've got some dry socks. See, these are the Albenzoa merino socks. So I've got those as well, and I'll start in a set of these as well. So yeah, hopefully that'll be enough. I think I'm also going to take some rain socks, some over socks. I'll probably keep them in the back there. It just looks like it's going to be pretty grim and a lot of spray coming up. So it might be sensible to have those with me as well. So there we have it. That's all the gear I'm taking for the Dales Divide. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.